Hi there and welcome to the channel. And when I say I'm happy to be here, I don't just mean here with you in front of the camera. I mean be here, be alive. Because for 60 seconds or so on Wednesday morning, it was touch and go whether that would be the case. For anyone who's not been following the news, Taiwan was hit by a massive earthquake on Wednesday morning. And as I reside here, I was caught in the middle of it. Before I come on to describing the experience itself, let me thank everyone who got in touch with me in the aftermath to inquire about my safety and that of my wife. It was great to know people care, and I was happy to allay your fears. I also sent out a community post right after to calm anyone who might be concerned for my welfare. It was really touching to know that you were thinking of me. Okay, the experience itself. I had woken up early, as I always do on Wednesday mornings, because I have class, and I was preparing my breakfast. My wife was upstairs sleeping, and while going about my everyday activities, suddenly a howling noise set itself up in the alley. It sounded like a strong wind, I suppose, but then this rumbling began, and it just kept increasing in violence, and suddenly the entire building was shaking uncontrollably. I had a moment of blind panic, but this then gave way to terror, and my wife ran down the stairs, and we just hugged one another as the building continued to just crazily shake, and there were all these cracking, splintering noises too, and just this awful rumbling. And for 60 seconds or so, it wasn't clear what the outcome would be. Would the building collapse before the earthquake ended, or would the earthquake end before the building collapsed? I really had no power to tell. I was pretty much convinced that the entire apartment building would come down, everything would be crushed and lost. However, things did not turn out that way, and I am truly grateful. It was, however, an extremely terrifying experience, and the aftershocks have kept sparking that trauma for me. So I found it really difficult to sleep last night. There have been something like 50 aftershocks since this quake, and I've also been reading the opinion of an expert. Perhaps I shouldn't have. And it said there are two scenarios. The first is Wednesday's quake, which was 7.5, was the main quake, and it will be followed by aftershocks, which will obey something called Batt's law, which means, thankfully, each one will be smaller than the original quake. However, there is another scenario when the quake on Wednesday was the foreshock of an even bigger quake. And apparently, the only way scientists can determine which is to wait and see what happens. So that is not very reassuring. I'll just have to continue hoping for the best. Okay, in terms of damage, everything looks, fine right now, but there was a considerable amount of chaos caused by this 60-second visit of Mother Nature at her most violent. Firstly, my Chinese teapot lost its handle. I'm not going to glue it on. It's probably a bad idea anyway with the aftershocks. And also, I just want to keep it as a memento of this day. Okay, Wednesday, 3rd of April, 7:58. Teapot separated. It usually lives up here. Oh, I'll put it back. Then the books themselves, as I've alluded to, they were disturbed by this earthquake. In fact, they pretty much flew around the room. So when I came in, it looked as if a poltergeist had been through. Special mention must be made of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. I have no idea why. Perhaps this book has unique aerodynamic qualities. Whatever it is, it travelled a considerable distance, much further than any other book. I didn't measure it with a rule, but I would estimate it must have travelled between 2.5 and 3 meters. An incredible performance by Jane Austen's novel there, and one I thought I would share with you. I know I sound back to my humorous self, but there probably isn't any better way to put horrifying, terrifying events like this behind one than just to find some humor in there. I'm well aware that quite a few people lost their lives in this quake, and there are, I believe, still people trapped inside buildings. So my thoughts are very much with them, but I'm just focusing on my own experience and trying to put matters behind me as best I can. And I thought I'd make a video to share with you what happened, how I'm doing, and basically to say I'm still here, I'm still standing, and the channel will continue. It just so happens that it was this week when I passed 1,000 subscribers, and so I thought the video I'd be making today would be very different. I was going to have a cake with the number 1,000 on it, some candles, and blow it out, all that stuff, and get a Q&A lined up, but it doesn't feel like the right time. That can wait for a few more days. So there you have it. I think I've said enough. All that's needed now is to say goodbye in customary fashion. So until the next time, be safe, be strong, nanu nanu.